Hi everybody, thank you for watching our show here on YouTube. Remember, after you watch, remember to subscribe.
And to share.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Hello and welcome to today's Love Talk show with me, Helena.
And with me, James. And as you can see, today we're giving you a different view of our studio here behind us. This is what you usually see, or actually you see something different, right? You see the studio at the back when we have our program. But the reason why we're doing this is because today we're looking at the top Love Talk moments of 2016. We've had some great guests, some great topics. So today we're going to look at the best moments, or some of the best moments of the past year.
It's true, and unfortunately we could not add all of them because we wouldn't have enough time.
That's right.
To be honest, you know, we had so many lovely guests and everything. But let's check out what we have in store for you today.
Happy New Year to all our love talkers out there, and as we celebrate 2017, we would like to take this opportunity to look back at some of our top moments from last year. From the highly talked about interviews to our most controversial Dear Love Talk questions and answers. Plus, we'll be highlighting some of our favourite Trip for Two date ideas, and we'll be announcing who won overall in challenges in 2016. Will it be the boys or the girls? Stay tuned to find out. On top of that, our lovely duo later on in the programme will be sharing their special New Year's message just for you. And now join us as we check out our top Dear Love Talk questions from 2016.
This is a serious question. It comes from someone who wanted to remain anonymous, and he says, I really need your help with something I'm not sure how to deal with. My husband won't be intimate with me unless we watch porn first. I absolutely hate this, but I have no idea how to deal with it. Please help me. I don't know what to do anymore. So let's press the buzzer first of all, because
Is the buzzer enough for this one?
For now, let's press the buzzer. And I think this is so bad. This question is so bad today. We brought in a whip. So I think this one requires
because the buzzer doesn't do it anymore.
Let's go. Let's see if we can do that at the same time. So that's a new one, right? Let me just tell you something. This is very easy to solve. You know that you said it yourself. You don't like this. You hate the fact that this has to be something for you and your partner to be intimate. This is absolutely absurd. You have to stand your ground and say, listen, this is not going to be part of my marriage, of my relationship. I don't want this. I don't think this is acceptable. I think that I should be enough to want you to be intimate with me. If you need a third party, whatever it is, for the person to get going, to want to be with you, then something's definitely wrong. You have to put your foot down and say, this porn will not be a part of my marriage. You make that decision. You have the right to say yes or no to that.
Indeed, and if you choose not to, you know, because this thing with pornography, as we've had specialists on the program before talking about this, it only gets worse and worse and worse to the point that one day he won't even need you to be in the room.
It's an addiction.
He's going to forget that you're there and he's going to do his own thing. It's that bad.
Yeah, it's an addiction.
Yeah.
And it doesn't get better.
Yeah,
it gets worse.
You deserve better than that.
Exactly. So when we say you deserve better, it doesn't mean you have to pack up your marriage. It just means you have to lay down the law and say, I will not stand for this. And if you do that, and you try to help him to try to find out what the issue behind that is, hopefully there is a solution for your relationship. I'm really excited about answering this question. Let me read it to you and you're going to see why. And first of all, I have a feeling that for this question, the whip We haven't used the whip in a really long time.
It's true.
The whip is going to come out. So let me read this question. It's from Laura, and she says, I want to have a good marriage with my husband, but I can't because I have a lover, and I truly love both. I am so confused. First of all, let's get the whip out.
Yeah, this one
3,
deserves-
2, 1.
Well
okay,
deserved.
and now we're going to put a clock of 45 seconds on the screen, right, on the corner of the screen. And this is because this question is very easy to answer.
You don't need all that.
And it only
45
takes 45 seconds. Well, let me try. First of all, Laura, you haven't got a clue what love is. You haven't got a clue. You are deceived and deluded about what love is because you cannot love two people at once. It's impossible. It doesn't happen. You either love one or you love the other. Secondly, my dear, grow up, own up to the fact that you're doing something wrong and you're deceiving two people, and change.
Wow.
I think that's not even 45 seconds.
We not only switched places, but also roles, because I'm usually known as the harsh one. But hello, this one was like
But I think
a revelation.
that
yeah.
answers it. Okay?
I think so. I mean, oh my God, this is sad. What a sad existence.
But now you've already passed the 45 seconds.
You see? I'm sorry, Laura. We do wish you all the best, but the thing with this DLF Talk thing is this. We are here to tell you what, it's what really resolves your problem. And this is why we have this DLF Talk as a separate segment, because we don't want to shock people. So if we are here, it's because you wrote to us, and if we are saying this, it's because we are answering you in the most frank way possible ever. And this is it.
That's right. Well,
Laura.
At least my advice lasted the 45 seconds I promised. So 2016
Oh, well, was the year of the whip.
the year of the whip. That's the year we came out with the whip.
Exactly, because the buzzer wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
The buzzer wouldn't do it anymore.
And we had some very interesting questions. And we have to use the whip, especially when some questions are, sometimes you hear, you know those moments when you write something or you think something, and it comes across one way, but the moment you say it, then you say, wow,
It sounded better in
it
my
sounded
mind.
better in my mind.
I do
And
have moments like those.
I think
do.
there are some questions that we read that once people see it, and people are watching the program, they hear those questions and say, my gosh, is that person
Is that
serious?
real?
But trust me, these are questions we get either in our seminars or via Facebook or email. And it's very important you do get in touch. All jokes aside,
Indeed.
we have this segment in the program because we want to be able to connect with you and help you on a personal level.
Yes, and don't be put off by the way we answer, because we are very honest with you.
We'll try to be as honest as possible.
Yes, we will always be very honest with you, because that's why we have this separate segment on the show. It's called DLF Talk, where you can just send us your questions, even if it's an anonymous question. We don't mind, we understand. And sometimes we may answer in a way that might sound a bit harsh, but it's okay, because, it is to help people out there, and maybe you will know people who are going through a similar situation. Share these DLF Talk segments on YouTube with your friends.
And you've got to think also, we only have 3 minutes to answer
Oh,
every
yeah.
question, so we try to condense everything in those 3 minutes. Okay. Now we're going to have a look at some of the funniest street chat moments from 2016, and we've had a few. I hope you find them as funny as we did.
Do you know anybody who is married? Obviously you do, I'm sure you do, but that are maybe struggling or, nothing along those lines?
We're only 20, so it's not none of our friends are married.
So you're together for 15 years, but are you married?
No.
But you were married previously separately?
Yes, I was married for about 15 years, 16 years.
Yes, I've been married before, yeah.
So when you were married back before, what was the things that you wished you knew about marriage before you,
What I wish I'd have known, about paying bills, about bringing up children, 3 children, and all like that, and Having money was the biggest problem of the marriage. Not having enough, and you know, bills coming in, and then you'd be rowing about them and all like that. That's what my problem.
Do you think you can see yourself one day getting married?
I'd like to get married if I meet the right person, yeah, but I have no immediate plans to, no.
I'm open to marriage, yeah.
Is there anything you would want to know about marriage? If so, what? Or any questions even?
I don't know. Hopefully everything goes smooth sailing, but I don't think it's quite that easy, so I don't know really, no.
Does it have an effect on your sex life?
What did you wish you knew about marriage before you entered that?
They're not always the nicest the person you first meet. Once you live with somebody, they change.
And before that, and even during marriage, did you ever think, oh, I wish I knew that, or why is it, or questioned anything?
Yeah, see, I thought marriage was, you know, you got married, everything was lovely on the top shelf, and then the bottom shelf fell apart, and you had to get something to fix it, and it didn't come to be fixed. That's the way of looking at it. I always thought there's something always, you know, there was children coming in, they wanted new uniforms, your wife wanted this, you wanted this. It wasn't just me, it was both of us. You know, we just couldn't handle it. But if I was telling people today to go and live with one another before you got married and do your business, do everything, and then I think it might work out a lot better.
Is there anything about marriage that you're excited about, that you can't wait for?
Like the wedding night, I guess, so like the fireworks that go with that, I get, yeah, and just the fun that comes, yeah.
Building a family, having like better financial stability. If you're in a marriage, obviously that's a big part of it. Like you can be more financially stable if the woman's working as well.
Why do you think it's you've not sealed the deal with marriage?
Well, we're quite free to do whatever we want,
Yeah,
aren't
right.
we? You know, we just do our own thing, really. But we involve one another.
We involve it. Like if I'm a bit stuck for that and that like that, I say, Kathy, help me out. If I can, you know, I get letters, and sometimes I don't understand them, and Kathy will, and she says, right, do that, right, and that. That's where it is. We are like a married couple, but we're not married. And I don't, be honest, don't get me wrong, I believe in marriage if it goes well. But it didn't go well for me, didn't go well for Kathy, but it goes well for other people. I'm not against marriage if you want to get married, but today I wouldn't advise it for me or Kathy, because the next place I'd be going is the Undertakers.
Okay, final question. For those maybe watching us right now who are thinking about getting married with their partners, what would your advice be there to them?
I'm going to tell you now, get plenty of money, I mean this, save up the both of you, get money, have a holiday first, make love, do the business. If you want to have children, do it. But make sure when you do get married, you do love one another. Because after you get married, you get families interfering, you get this and that, and I don't advise it myself because I'm happy the way I am. Do you love me? No, on television, I love you.
No, shut up.
She said no. Did you hear her say no?
You know, usually when we have the street chats, we sort of, before even we hear what people have to say, we know more or less where things are going. Even if the general way people think is wrong, but we know what people are going to say. But sometimes, once in a while, people surprise us with what they say, and we had a few just there.
They do. I can even recall an instance where I don't think it was this year, it was the previous one, where we asked people out there, what is love? What do you think love is? And we actually interviewed people who were in a long-term relationship, and they did not know what love is. And I was like, okay, interesting. So there's some questions that we ask people.
Yeah.
It's always so interesting.
Sometimes I think people find it difficult to describe what love is. But if you've been in a long-term relationship, I'm pretty sure you know what love is. Perhaps you
in
just
a practical way,
find it more difficult to describe it. Now we have to go for a break. After the break, you'll get to see some of the top real-life stories of 2016. It's been very difficult to select. How can you select what a top real-life story is? Because all of them are exceptional. But we tried to choose some of the most striking stories and striking moments of 2016. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back. Did you know that our seminars are now on Thursdays? That's right, every Thursday at 8 p.m. we are at Finsbury Park at the Rainbow Theatre here in London, and we want to help you to build a successful, long-standing relationship.
Indeed, you can also book an appointment to see us personally, and we're going to do everything we can to help you. And also, should you have any questions, please email us on questions@lovetalkshow.tv.
Welcome back. So you're now watching some of the best moments of Love Talk of 2016. Now, one of the moments we had last year, which even for us, it sort of gave us a new understanding on this topic, is when we spoke to Carolina Fernandez about the subject of should you get a prenup before you get married. Now, our stance on this was that if you're going to get married and you want a prenup, then something's wrong. But then in that
It's not
program,
really like that, isn't it?
we spoke about the possibility that there may be some exceptions.
Yes, it's actually, we heard the following, in other words, that people get a prenup to organize what they own, not so much because they don't trust the other person. And I found that explanation quite interesting and quite right. Because imagine if you came from a very wealthy family and your parents build up all this empire, and then suddenly you give it away to someone, and then the person, you don't know, will misuse what you have. So, because it's not yours, yes, it could be your parents.
Absolutely. It was a very interesting program. Here's what Carolina Fernandez had to say about this topic. Before you tell us about the whole prenup thing and what your thoughts are on it, tell us a little bit about your relationship. How's the relationship? Where did it start?
Yeah, well, he nearly ran me over.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, he nearly ran me over, and
Is that how you met?
yeah, and then I was really angry, so I kicked his car, and I carried on walking up the road, and then I saw him like in the other side of the road, crossing the road, and I was like, crap, I'm gonna pretend I don't speak English. So I started speaking Portuguese, and then from there we just started speaking. And he really just wanted to talk to me.
Right.
So I think that's a first on Love Talk. In 2 years of recording this program, we never had anyone who met their partner, who got him almost run over. So that's
Very
different.
interesting.
But we don't advise you to do that. Should you want to meet someone, don't throw yourself in front of a car.
Please don't.
Not very much. Do you know what? It was a red light for him and it was a green light for me.
So he was in the wrong.
He was definitely in the wrong.
You've been together for how long?
2 years and a half now.
Okay, so you decided to talk about getting married, you got engaged.
Yeah, we got engaged last year in our 1 year anniversary, and my parents live abroad, so he went. It was actually, he'd done it in a very traditional way, and it was different because he's actually English. So, and we are quite traditional with the whole marriage thing. So he went to Portugal to ask my parents because that's where they live. So he did do it in a very traditional way, and
that's nice.
And he actually proposed to me on the road that he nearly ran me over in.
Okay.
So it was very romantic. It was definitely very romantic, and I feel like the first year, like it was the second year of our relationship, and it was perfect. But I feel like, when you leave the 2 year threshold, there comes the tribulations and everything, and you have to really, that's when we really need to know, do we really love each other? Is this what we really want? And at one point he felt that that's not what he wanted.
Right.
So it was for me to be patient with it. But then you start asking your question, is it going to be like that? 1 minute, yes, I do want this. Next minute, not so much.
And
I guess you have to just respect the other person. Imagine if it was you, isn't it? You've got to.
Exactly.
There's always one
Yeah.
who needs a bit more time to think about it.
the interesting thing is that all these imperfections you start noticing later, they were there before.
Yeah.
But it's just that we were too busy with our emotions and feeling all, lovey-dovey to notice them. So you've noticed them, you decided still to go forward. These imperfections are natural.
Yeah.
Then he proposed to you.
Yeah.
So the day after he proposed to you, you brought up the prenup subject, or was that a little bit later?
No, that was a little bit later. We wouldn't really want to get into that. We wouldn't want to spoil the engagement, right? You still want to feel it and, like, you know, be happy with it.
Right.
But then obviously we started, you know, when you start wedding planning.
Yeah.
And then you kind of just sneak it in.
That's a good one.
How would you?
Yeah. So you need to wait for the right time.
You don't have a date set yet, right?
No, we don't.
Okay, so you know you're going to get married, you're planning for it, but
Yeah.
there's no date. So, because that's something we asked Andrew Kidd, the solicitor who was here with us earlier. How soon do you bring up the topic?
Yeah.
So, how soon after he proposed to you did you bring up the topic of
I feel like
the prenuptial agreement?
probably about after 3 months, when we were officially thinking, what do we want for the wedding? How do we want it to be? And, you know, the whole process towards the wedding. So that was a question that, you know, would have to come up.
Right.
When you're planning your wedding and you're planning to spend your life with somebody, you want to find out, you know, what country you want to get married in, you know, whether or not you would want a prenup. It comes as part of the questions. Yeah.
Is that what you did?
Yeah, and that was literally what I did. I asked him how he felt about prenups, if that's something that he wanted. And then he was just like, he brushed it off. He was like, I don't really care. If you want it, we can have it. If you don't, then I don't really care.
So from the moment you bring that question up, it already means that you are in a minority, because very few people ask that question, right? So you already put yourself in a very small minority.
Yeah.
And what did you expect when you asked that question? Because he said, look, you know, if you want it, fine. If you don't want it, fine. Were you happy with that answer? Is that what you were looking for?
I was actually happy with that answer, because it wasn't, it made me trust him more. Because if he said yes, he did want one, then it would be like, are you thinking about divorcing me anytime soon? And then if he said he didn't want one and he was adamant and like, you know, I'm not going to have a prenup, it means that you don't love me. And then it would come up to the question, well, if you did love me, then you wouldn't mind signing it.
But you know, there's also the post-nuptial
Yeah.
agreement as
but
well.
the fact that he was in between.
I understand what you mean. It's
Yeah,
just-
the fact that he was in between it kind of meant that it was like he gave me the power to choose what
That's
I
nice.
want. And that, I respected that a lot.
That's nice.
Did you think, for example, you say that he went to speak to your parents to say that he wanted to
Yeah.
marry you and so on. How do you think that your family, I mean, does your family know that you asked him this question? How do they see this?
Yeah, my dad knows. My dad's a very business-minded man. So he understood why I asked those questions. But then again, my dad and my mom are very traditional. And they've been married for like 30 years. So the day and age then, they don't really believe in prenups. However, you can contradict that with any marriage is a type of contract, isn't it? So even with the cultures, it's like you get married and then, you know, or the bride's parents will pay for it and the groom's parents will, you know, buy you gifts and things like that. It's still some sort of contract.
It is.
It's just not written in paper.
So you heard there from Carolina her view on whether prenup is something necessary or not, and we'll let you be the judge of that. We think that in the vast majority of cases, prenup is not necessary and is sometimes a sign of mistrust. However, there is the odd case where that's not really the rule, and there are exceptions. Now, we also saw, and not just saw, but we had a very special guest on our show. We always say special, but she is special because she's one of the hosts of one of the shows here on my channel, Chrissy B and Michael, and they went through a lot.
They did, and I'm so grateful that she was able to share her story with us, because many people watch her show and they think, oh yeah, she knows about mental health and she likes to talk about it, but she actually went through that. And she really went through some dark moments in her life from when she was a teenager. I know her personally, so I can really, you know, appreciate her coming here. And of course, we didn't have enough time as usual to explore her story even more. So yeah, I mean, let's see what she said.
But she's going to talk to us about how she sees a way out to save your marriage, how that worked for her.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something useful there for you as well.
Now let me ask you something. I know that most of the arguments maybe had something to do with her mental illness, isn't it? Now, what did you do to help her? Because by helping her, by understanding her, then you wouldn't have so many problems. Did you think about it that way? What did you do?
I've always been a believer in God. And to try to help her, I had a Bible.
Okay.
So when I would see she was, you know, shaking and panicking, I would say to her, look, it's all in your mind. It's okay. And she said it didn't help. But then I would get the Bible and I would read to her certain passages and say, look, everything's going to be okay. And it got to a point where I was reading these things. I didn't know how to help her. But I said, look, it's okay. And I thought by just me reading things and saying, look what happened here. It can happen with you. You're going to be okay. You're going to be fine. And then I would just go to bed. Like literally just say, it's over with, fine. But then she would still panic and kept it to herself.
But the great thing is that you wanted to help her.
I wanted to help her. The thing is, I didn't know how. There was a point when I don't know what to do anymore.
Right. What was before we go for the break, what was the lowest point or the point where you both wanted to make things work, but you just didn't know how, and what was the lowest point in that relationship?
I think there were a lot of low points, to be honest. I can't recall one particular one, but I used to feel really low because sometimes he kind of forgets how bad I was. I don't know if it's with the time or we've just moved on so much, but I used to slap him a lot and punch him.
Really?
And do all sorts of things.
He just mentioned once across the face.
Yeah,
but
that's all he remembers.
More.
But I used to do it so much, and sometimes on purpose, like to get a reaction from him because I wanted him to, because when he felt guilty, he would be more affectionate.
All
and I
right.
would get
So
his
you were playing
attention that
games
way.
with
So
him.
I would kind of push him to do certain things. He'd feel guilty, and then I would
Get
milk
the-
that
all the
and just get
attention.
all the attention. And I loved that, and I kind of was good that I felt good that he felt bad about it, and he gave me all this attention. I know it was really bad.
Fatal attraction kind of.
That's very messed up. Huh?
It is completely, but that's how I.
Great use of the word messed up. By the way, high five on that one. Great use of the word messed up.
I'm like,
But there
well,
was
what can I say about this? Well, messed up. Yeah, but carry on. Yes.
There was one day that he snapped and he got me in a headlock and he put his fist in my face, and I thought, oh, I think I've pushed it too
bit
far.
too-
But he stopped himself. He started to press his fist into my face, and he stopped. I could see putting all his self-control together to stop
Wow, you're really
himself
pushing him over the edge.
She really drove me to the edge that day.
Wow.
And it wasn't just with the violence; it was also verbally. I used to say some horrible things to him.
Because you're
really
not a violent
degrading.
person. You were not a violent person, were you? It's just that the situation, putting two people together who were maybe not ready for a relationship then.
I wasn't
But I'm
ready.
glad that you, stuck together and things, as we
I
will
don't know
find
why.
out.
I don't know why he put up with me, to be honest.
Guys, we know things were bad, but you wanted to sort out the problem. So
And
what did you
25
do?
years later, still together, so tell
So
us.
what happened? What did you do?
Basically, I started to get help from a charity that I found. I was just walking past and I decided to go in because there was a particular notice that caught my attention, and I went in. We went together actually, and I said, I really need to go to this place. And I started to get help there. I was getting counselling, I was getting spiritual support as well. And my life started to change because I noticed, things were improving within me. So like the panic attack stopped first, and then I started to get help for the depression. It took longer with the depression and the other issues that I had. And there we heard about the Love Talk Live meetings. So we started to attend. Back then it was on a Sunday, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I know it's on a Saturday now.
And it's just fair to say that it wasn't us holding those meetings.
No,
that
yes,
was
not back
right?
then. No.
It was the same similar teachings, but we weren't holding these meetings there.
No, it was like that version back then.
Right.
And we hadn't really sort of thought about working on our relationship. We just, as I was getting help for the depression, as a consequence, things started to improve between us because I was gaining more confidence. I wasn't so clingy or obsessive, but there were certain things that we needed to learn, and one was the communication. So each week that we would go, we would learn a skill that we could put into practice. We learned how to talk to one another properly.
Because you were very young, isn't it?
Yeah,
You
we
were very
were.
young.
I learned how to respect him because I didn't respect his opinion. I always thought that I was right. And things started to develop from there.
Thing is, Chris wasn't wrong. She wasn't the only one, you know, that was guilty in all of this. I learned that I had my mistakes as well. So, you know, I had my opinion. I thought I was always right. I wouldn't listen to her, and sometimes she would tell me certain things, and I wouldn't have it. I had to have the last say. But we learned in the Love Talk Live meetings that we need to listen to one another, respect one another, and work together as a team,
Yeah, 'cause
rather than
when you
trying to be
don't-
individuals, you know, trying to, you know, be on top of the other person.
Yeah, because when you don't listen to the other person, it's very disrespectful, isn't it? You feel like, well, hold on a second, why is it that every time I say something, it's never right? So that alone is already a big fight.
I learned the difference between actually, because I used to pretend to listen, but what I was doing before, I was waiting for him to finish, but already thinking about my point to come back at him with. But I learned to really listen to what he was saying and not be thinking about what I wanted to get across, but actually try to understand what he was trying to say to me. And that was, because you always hear, oh yeah, you need to communicate, you need to talk, but I didn't know how to do it, even though everyone
Communication
knows
is listening, isn't it?
Yeah, even though everyone talks about it, but it was just that step further. It went deeper than just, you know, listen.
How long from that point where you started getting help to the point where your marriage really became solid and healthy? How long did that process take? The whole process?
It's a few months, wasn't it?
Yeah, because then...
It was less than a year, definitely. It was a few months.
Okay. Like I said, a very inspiring story, like all the others, you know. But if you've missed some of our stories, it's because you did not subscribe to our channel yet, to our YouTube channel.
So that's just a subtle hint for you to subscribe.
But don't worry, we will not get the whip out for you. The whip, you know the whip?
Just yet.
Please subscribe and you will never miss a story. These are real stories, okay?
Now, after the break, you'll get to see some more top moments of the real life stories we had in the studio for 2016. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to a very different Love Talk where we're looking at some of the best moments of 2016. Now, we've had great guests and great topics. It's been very difficult to choose just a few. But we're going to look now at a very special couple, Pete and Jill Drysdale. And they're special because they were so lovely. They were so nice. I mean, all our guests are, but they were just so warm and
so
easy to talk to. And let's see what they said, because they were talking about spenders and savers. Pete was apparently a massive spender, Jill was a saver, and they had a very interesting dynamic between them. We're going to watch the story. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about it. You got married, and then all of a sudden you had to deal with money because you have to.
Yeah.
So what did you argue about? What were the problems, Pete?
Well, in the first few months, I was a kept man when we got married, because I was carrying on with studies and Jill was working, so she was the breadwinner.
Right.
And some of the guys at college had found out that if you write off to America, you can get all your books at a discount. So this is before the internet, of course. So I wrote off for the 3 years worth of textbooks. This was in sort of the second or third month of our marriage, without telling Jill or anything. That was equivalent to half a month's salary. I just spent it. And the first thing Jill knew about it was we were at home, there was a knock at the door, and the books arrived.
All right.
Yes.
How did you deal with that, Jill? How was
So I couldn't believe it. And I think by then I'd begun to realise that we were different. I'd been brought up to be careful with money, and so I'd been managing my own money before we got married, and I knew what was coming in and what I was spending. I carried on when we got married. I can still remember, because there weren't even computers, it'd be far easier now. I used to note down all our outgoings, and I knew what was coming in. So I was kind of keeping a record. But then, so this kind of upset the record. So I was like,
thinking?
oh yes, we're ticking on okay. And then it's like, what?
So my background's very different. My parents believed in spend as you earn, if you like.
Right.
They didn't get into serious debt in any way, because my dad managed to earn, a decent wage, as it were. But I don't know if it's because they came from very poor backgrounds when they were children, and so they just enjoyed spending, sort of live for today. And so
who cares about tomorrow?
Well, that's right. So if there's money in the bank, hey, and I want those books, that'd be a great idea. And I just hadn't got round to thinking about planning and the importance of using money wisely. So I was frivolous. And I think another bad habit I'd got was spending money on a big ticket toy or gadget just to make you feel good. And actually, they never really satisfy. You get buyer's remorse.
Yeah.
But, I used to have the motto, when the going gets tough, the tough go shopping.
Right,
So,
never heard that one before.
That's a good one.
So, and so Jill had to sort of rein these tendencies in. And we had some serious discussions, arguments, and some, real skirmishes with problems of money, all to do with my, devil-may-care, attitude.
So something else that was key, we very much came to realise that actually it is our money, and whoever at any particular stage in the relationship happens to be working or not working, it's always our money. So we're going to share what we do with that money. And so whoever doesn't happen to be working, they have an equal say. And so and that really helped. And it means, so we're actually on the same side. How are we going to use the money we have?
I think that's key. And although we're running out of time, I just wanted to ask you one final thing. Do you feel, Jill, that, because you had this way of dealing with finances, that you were super careful and you would save as much as you could, do you feel that Pete brought an interesting balance where you felt it is okay sometimes to spend and reward yourself for your hard work? Do you feel that he brought that?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, I think that it's crucial that there isn't a right and wrong. And so, no, absolutely. So we balance. And so Pete will encourage me to spend and actually to use the money. So you can either spend it, you can save it, or you can give it away. And we now see that's all linked with our values. We do it together. And so I can actually, like, as you say, enjoy spending money. And that is valuable. And you get rest or whatever. That can, if you're spending on the right things that you agree on, that adds to the relationship.
Well, that was Pete and Jill with their wonderful advice. Like I said, they were such a lovely couple. They are such a lovely couple with so much wisdom to share. And
And by the way, we're still going to take you up on your offer to go and visit you there in Bournemouth. We just haven't had the time, but we plan to.
It's on tape now. You can't go back.
That's one of the things we spoke about. Now, one of the most perhaps shocking interviews we had here was with Iram Essen, a producer of a short film called Death by Dishonor, dealing with the matter of forced marriages and honor killings. And it was quite a heavy subject, but presented by someone who's done a lot of research into it and who's looked at how this has become more and more, I don't know if prominent is the word, but it's happening a lot more here.
It's very real.
In the UK, absolutely. And here's what she had to say about this problem that is reached this side of our shores. I think the first question is, how common is the issue of forced marriages and honor killings in the UK?
it's more common than you think. It happens so much, you know, for the millions of cases that are in the public eye. There's 5 million that aren't even reported. We've seen an honour killing. We've seen 2 high-profile honour killings this year. How many we've seen? There are so many that we've seen that haven't even been reported. You know, these things are very, very underground. They don't come to the surface. People hide them very well. Honour killings are organised crime. They are very well hidden. They only are found out and they're only exposed when something goes wrong. For example, with Banaz Mahmood, the only reason that her killers got caught was because of the fact that she went to the police a few weeks before, and she said to them, "They're going to kill me," and she sent a letter to the police with the names of her potential killer. She said, "I know these people are going to kill me," and the police found that letter after her death, and then they tracked down those victims.
The perpetrators, right?
The perpetrators.
So had it not been for that letter, had it not been for her going to the police, that would have probably never been found out?
No, because her family did not report her missing. No one, her boyfriend reported her missing a few days later, and even then the only reason the police took notice was because she was already in their record as making several complaints that she was scared she was going to die.
Right.
But many people don't actually get to the point of reporting anything, right?
No.
We can see the numbers that you showed us through the documentary, but as we were talking about before we started this interview, there's many more people who don't even report. But I mean, we discussed why, but do you want to tell the public why many people are afraid to report, or they think that it's no point in reporting? What is it?
I think it's a few things. The first thing is there is a very strong sense of family loyalty, and you know, going to the police is seen as breaking that loyalty. You're betraying your family. You're going to the police. You're going to social services. You're stepping outside of that close-knit circle. And that in itself is a crime. You know, by doing that, you're shaming the family. Second, there's a mistrust of the police. As we can see, the police didn't do much in these 2 cases that have been shown. But there are so many cases where the police have failed. They've failed, or they've just done things wrong, and they've included family members that shouldn't be there in the statements, and they shouldn't be there in court, and they've put the victims in more danger. And the police have had a lot of failings, and there's a mistrust because they've had failings and because they don't go about it the right way, because they don't know enough. They need to have more knowledge.
I'm asking you this because many people might be watching us and thinking, oh, why don't they just go to the police? So there's much more to this than just going to the police or anyone.
And is this something that is linked more to a specific culture? For example, I mean, those 2 women mentioned there, they were from a specific background. Is it more linked to a specific background, or is this something that happens in a broader spectrum with different cultures, but people don't really talk about it?
It happens through certain cultures more. It's, you know, 40% of these honour killings happen in Pakistan and India because it's a tribal practice. It happens in Iraq, it happens in Pakistan, it happens in Bangladesh, it happens in Turkey, it happens in places where tribal customs are the norm. In places like the West, where obviously our cultures have developed and we've had migration, we've had people develop in the country and everything's changed, it's different. But in places where they're very close-knit and they're very set in their ways, these things aren't going to change overnight. You know, the tribal practices, they used to happen to Assyrian women in, you know, thousands of years ago. Up until 30 years ago in Italy, it was illegal to kill a woman if she'd embarrassed you in Italy, which is a Western progressive country. Wow. So it's not something that's limited or exclusive to any culture. In religion, you know, in the Sikh religion, in the Hindu religion, in the Muslim religion, killing is forbidden. You're not supposed to kill anyone, especially your own children. Of all things that you can do, killing is the worst thing you can do.
And I think just to pick up on Elena's point that she mentioned, I think this is the most important point we want to end the interview with. If someone is right now in a position where they're being pressurized to marry someone, or they're being threatened that if they don't marry someone, or if they don't make the marriage work, that, you know, they'll be killed or there'll be consequences, what can they do? Who should they speak to? I mean, I know that, like Elena said, obviously you should go to the police or you should go to someone, but then there's that thought that you are betraying your family. black and white, what should be done if a person's in that situation?
You have to think about yourself. You have to be selfish in this kind of situation. You can't think about what will my family think. You have to put that out of the window. You have to think, what can I do for myself? If you can't go to the police, go to a charity. Social media is in our faces all the time. All you need to do is pick up your phone, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. There are helplines everywhere. You don't even need to make a phone call. You can just text someone saying, I'm in trouble. You know, there are charities that will help you discreetly. There are charities that
specialize in this kind of
there are so many charities that are specialized in helping women who are at risk of forced marriage. The forced marriage unit itself, that is a national unit that works alongside the police. If you are in danger of a forced marriage, you call up the forced marriage unit. They see what they can do. There are so many options to you, but the main option is you just have to forget what everyone else thinks and just worry about yourself.
And just talk about it with someone, right? That's the first step.
Exactly. Talk about it. If your parents are pressuring you, talk to a sibling. If your siblings are pressuring you, talk to a friend. Talk to anyone who can provide any kind of help. Teachers, colleagues, peers. There's so
even
many
GP
people.
these days.
Your GP, exactly. You can go to someone, anyone, and they will realise that this is putting you in danger, and they will try and get you out.
Now, one of the things we've learned in that interview is that this is not something that is exclusively of the Pakistani culture or a culture of that side of the world. It's actually something that was happening here in the UK even years ago. So it's something that perhaps
very common.
And it doesn't get spoken about as much. Hopefully, by us airing that interview, it has helped people to come forward and look for help if they are in that situation.
Indeed.
Now, after the break, we're going to look at some of the best trip for two moments of 2016. Usually they're very funny and enjoyable.
They were very funny for the women this year, I hear.
Well, funny because we're also going to reveal who won, by the way, the challenges.
Well,
Last
I
year,
hope that
the men won.
Our producer remembers to add that bit where you hold the trophy and say, we won this year. And then,
Well, let's just say this.
This is our turn.
I didn't do any of the challenges this year. So if we lost, I don't know if we lost or won. If we lost, it's because I didn't do the challenges, because someone else did it. Anyway, let's go for a break. When we come back, we'll look at some of the best trip for two for 2016. Hello YouTubers and everyone following us on Instagram and Facebook. Don't forget to share our programs with your friends and family and subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay up to date with all our new programs coming out every week.
And also let us know what you think of the topics. Leave your comments.
Welcome back. We're talking about some of the best moments of Love Talk for 2016. Now, this is our final segment of this show, and we've reserved the part of the trip for two, some of the funniest moments, some of the best moments for this part of the program. So here are the top trip for two date ideas from 2016.
Hi Love Talk, I'm Eric.
And I'm Priscilla.
Today we are at Spitalfields Pancake Race.
We are very excited to be here. This race has been here in London for many years, and today is our day. We decided to come and join the race.
Wow, and I'm really loving what they are doing here because everything that is done, it is for the cause of raising funds for the London Air Ambulance, and it's run by a charity that saves loads and loads of people every year.
Yes, and we are going to be joining this race. We're going to have a surprise, right?
Right. And this week's competition, Priscilla and I, we have to find each one. We have 4 minutes to find a team member to run the pancake race with. And I'm very excited about it.
And the clock starts now.
3, 2, 1, go!
Ok, Okay, Love Talk. So here we found our 2 team members who will be running the pancake race with us. Here I have with me Thomas and Javier. And thank you very much, guys, for you helping us. And actually, I found both of them. Priscilla didn't find any, so point for the boys.
This is the way that we judge chocolate for awards. So once you know how to do it, you're welcome to go back to just shoving it in. But for the purposes of the chocolate we're going to taste today, we're going to follow most of these steps, but I'll show you with the house dark chocolate how we taste chocolate properly. So as I said, these are the house chocolate discs. So if you want to put it out the back of your palm, and I will place it on there. So the things that we're looking for is the chocolate should be nice and shiny. So there should be no white spots. You might get little white spots that are scratches, but what you don't want to see is like a film of white. The next thing you need to do is to listen to the chocolate. So if you hold it close to your ear, eat me. Yeah.
That's how it is.
Totally
No, I heard.
Yeah.
I heard.
That's what it says to me all the time. So no, to make it, to listen to it, you actually need to make a sound. So if you break it, because this is quite thin, it might shatter. So you want to listen through, that clicking sound. Before you taste it, you need to smell it, because once you have it in your mouth, the smell will be different, which you'll see in a minute. But have a smell of the chocolate now.
That's really good.
Excellent. Yeah. The most important thing is that you can smell chocolate. So with cheap chocolate, sometimes all you can smell is sugar or vanilla. And then when you get to the really interesting, like single origin chocolates, you'll be able to smell either maybe like dried fruits, red fruits, tropical fruits. Then when it comes to tasting it, you take just part of the disc and just put it in your mouth and let it melt. So don't chew on it. This is the most important bit. I know. It means that it takes a few seconds before you taste anything when you don't chew on it. But it's nice and thin, so it shouldn't take too long.
Hi. Good, good. Thank you.
Right, so this one is yours.
For the girl.
Right, yeah, I'll put the seat down a bit.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
It's good. Shall we go, my darling?
Yeah.
So we're ready for our bike ride along the Monceau Trail. And the weather's part of the fun, it's part of the adventure, right? Part of the British charm.
Oh, yes.
So let's get cracking.
Let's do this. Follow us. Não, tu não trouxeste umas calças, pois não?
Não, tu trouxeste?
Não.
Wow, so nice.
Wow, it is.
Anda.
Oh.
So you saw there the dates at the Pancake Race, Chocolate Ecstasy Tour, the Peak District, which the weather wasn't great, but we had
so much
a
fun.
great time cycling in the rain.
Yeah, everything was so wonderful. I mean, Pancake Race was super funny. Of course, we weren't there, but we could see how much fun it was. Of course, we don't need to talk about chocolate because it's always the most glorious moment when you taste.
And you had also the moment of the whitewater rafting where Priscilla kicked Eric out of the boat, right? Which I spoke to her and him about that. I said, look, you guys are supposed to help each other. Anyway, they had a blast. And now what we need to find out is
the
who
scores.
won.
So who won?
So you revealed it.
The winner is the ladies. Where's your happiness?
There is no happiness.
Expression.
Well, look, let's just say we don't do this for the competition. We do this because
you do that. You're very
because
competitive.
we want couples to enjoy themselves when they go on dates. And
yeah, right.
Congratulations. No, I'm serious. Congratulations. And the score
Where's
was,
my
by
trophy?
the way.
Where's my trophy?
I'll get you another different kind of trophy, right? And if I gave you a trophy, I had to give a trophy to all the women out there. It's your victory. Enjoy it. The score was 9 to the boys and 12 to the girls.
Yes, but jokes aside, we really try through this segment to show you places you can go, beautiful things to do, different things to explore and try, and I think it's nice. I mean, well, I can't wait for what's coming for this year, but we will also have some more great
And for the
ideas.
record, the boys lost because it wasn't me doing the challenges.
You see, I knew it. You were not happy for the ladies.
No, I am. Now, here's a very important part of today's program. We've just started a brand new year. And I wanted to start this new year with a very different message from what we've spoken about here. Actually, in the past few years, we've been doing this program. But I'm going to get right to the point. One of the most important things in life is planning. And what better time to plan than at the beginning of the year? Actually, we should have started before the year ended. But you can see that actually God, He planned. God planned the coming of His Son, the Lord Jesus, to this world. He lived for 33 years here, and every moment of those 33 years was meticulously planned hundreds of years before. He used this as an example for us that we have to plan our relationships, our careers, and our personal growth. This is also very important. Sometimes people make plans for their career, for their relationship, but they forget to make plans for their own personal growth. Make a list. How would you want to become a better man, a better woman, a better dad, a better husband or wife? I think that's very important.
It is, what you're saying is so deep because unless you have a plan, we all know that plans don't always go according to plan or smoothly. But, there's always plan A, B, and C. But the thing is, when you have a plan, when you know where you're going, it's easier for you to focus.
That's right.
You know where you're going. So therefore, if something comes to distract you, you will easily identify the distraction, put it aside and keep going.
Yeah.
And I think this is key for true happiness.
That's right. So we hope that you take some time to reflect on your successes and even on your failures from last year. Learn something from them, make sure you don't make those mistakes again, and move forward. Don't let your past drag you down. And plan your future to as much detail as you can. You will see how that will help you with your success. We want to thank you also for being with us throughout the past year, watching our programs, and we hope that in the year to come, we can continue to help you build successful relationships. If you want to get in touch with us, do so via our email address, questions@lovetalkshow.tv, or via our Facebook page. And don't forget to
subscribe. And also, you know that we are trying to help people, couples, singles. We try to do this. This is our passion. So please help us share this message. Help us. Every time you share a link, every time you subscribe, every time you watch a TV show, one of our episodes, and you think of a friend who is in that particular situation, don't be afraid to share. Share the links, because I'm sure we're going to reach out to as many people as possible in this new year.
That's right. So thank you for being with us for 2016, and we are very excited that you will be on board with us for 2017, okay? And we'll see you in our next program.
Happy New Year.
Bye-bye. So you heard there from Carolina. So let's do that again. Maybe there's something useful there for you as well. And that didn't go very well. Welcome back to a very different love. Oh, sorry. Here are the. Oh, let me do that on the close-up. So here are the best moments of the Trip for Two for 2016. Hold on, it's better for Elena to do that.
So here are the best. So here are the top Trip for Two trip ideas for 2016. I was trying to remember.
So you reveal that.
Well, the winners. Let me do this again, please.
And that's all for today's Love Talk show. Be sure to tune in next week to learn more on how to love intelligently.